People are calling this the best Superman movie since Christopher Reeve. Others say it's just chaos in a cape. With critics praising its heart and fans flooding theaters, we had to see what all the noise was about. Is this really the Superman movie that changes everything? My honest take. I didn't expect to walk out of this movie feeling emotional, but I did. James Gunn's Superman isn't just a reboot, it's a complete reset. The world, the tone, even the inner lives of these characters, it all feels different. It's not dark or edgy, but somehow it still works. There's something about this version of the characters that hits differently. It's not about saving the world in some explosive cinematic way. It's about the quieter moments, the patience, the kindness, the restraint. The belief that power means nothing without the wisdom to use it well. And that makes it feel very human. That feeling comes from characters who actually care about each other. It's funny in unexpected ways. It's hopeful without feeling fake. And yeah, it's messy, but it's the kind of mess that makes you feel alive. There's also a moment near the end that really caught me off guard. I won't spoil it, but if you've seen the movie, you probably know what I mean. It's the kind of thing that lingers long after the credits roll. At the same time, I kept wondering, was this movie made for general audiences or just hardcore fans? One thing's clear though, this isn't the Superman your dad grew up with. I don't think it's even pretending to be. This one's lighter, funnier, messier. Sometimes it stumbles. But it's reaching for something sincere. And weirdly enough, that sincerity is what makes it work. Characters and performances. Let's start with the big one. David Corenswet is a great Superman. He's not trying to be cool or tough. He's just trying to be good. And somehow, that's what makes him stand out. There's a quiet confidence in the way he plays Clark. You actually believe this guy wakes up every morning and chooses kindness. And when he puts on the cape, it feels earned. But here's the surprise. He's just as good at being Clark Kent. He doesn't vanish behind glasses or act like a cartoon version of himself. He feels real. Shy but steady. Smart but soft-spoken. For the first time in years, we get a Superman who's just as strong on the ground as he is in the sky. Now let's talk about Lois Lane. Rachel Brosnahan is electric. She's funny, sharp, unpredictable, and way more than just the girlfriend. She challenges Clark. She questions him. She holds him accountable. But she also gets him in a way no one else does. Their chemistry is off the charts. You believe they're partners, not just romantically but as equals. It's no surprise people are already calling her the best Lois Lane ever. Lex Luthor, on the other hand, is where things split. Some people will love how weird and dangerous he is. Others might feel like there's not enough there. Nicholas Hoult plays him with this mix of cold genius and quiet obsession. He's not loud or campy. He's unsettling, in a way that feels closer to real-life billionaires than comic book villains. But if you're hoping for a deep rivalry, you might walk away wanting more. And finally, Krypto. Yes, the dog. He's not just for comic relief or some cute mascot. Krypto is actually one of the emotional anchors of the movie. He adds heart, chaos, and the kind of loyalty that reminds you who Superman really is. And somehow, it works. And while Superman, Lois, Lex, and Krypto carry most of the emotional weight, there's a wider cast around them, from Jimmy Olsen to Hawkgirl to Mr. Terrific and Guy Gardner. They don't get as much screen time, but they help fill out this new DCU with a real sense of momentum and personality. Overall, this cast feels like the real deal. They're not just playing superheroes, they're playing people. People with flaws, kindness, awkwardness, and heart. And that might be the film's greatest strength. The comic book chaos. This movie doesn't follow the rules, and that's either going to be your favorite thing about it or the part that throws you off completely. Instead of a traditional beginning, middle, end, Superman moves more like a collection of comic book issues. It's structured like a week in the life of Clark Kent. Different threats, different challenges, different moments stitched together with emotion instead of plot points. Some of those episodes land beautifully, a few don't. But the rhythm is different, and on purpose. James Gunn isn't hiding the inspiration. He said this is the most comic book movie he's ever made, and you can feel that in every frame. From the bright color palettes to the Silver Age references to the weird tech, pocket dimensions, kaiju fights, and sci-fi villains, it really does feel like you stepped inside a DC comic from the 70s. But the tone is all over the place. There are scenes that feel warm and childlike, and then, boom, someone drops a hard PG-13 swear word or makes a joke that feels a little off. It's not dirty, but it's uneven. It's a family movie, but with spikes, light on the surface, sharp underneath. Still, there's a charm to the mess. The movie isn't trying to be clean, it's trying to be alive, full of color, movement, emotion. If you can roll with the chaos, it works. But if you're expecting a clean arc like the Batman or Man of Steel, this might feel more like a playlist than a single song. Either way, one thing is clear. This isn't just a reboot, it's a tone reset. It's bold, it's messy, and it's definitely not boring. Is this movie only for fans? This is where things get tricky, because while Superman clearly loves comic books, and comic book fans love it right back, the big question is, what about everyone else? The movie doesn't waste time introducing characters. It just drops you in. Lois Lane already knows Clark's secret. Lex Luthor has already been feuding with Superman for years. The Justice Gang, including characters like Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl, are just there. No backstories, no hand-holding. And that's fine if you're someone who grew up reading DC Comics or watching years of animated shows and live-action series. For fans, the familiarity, the callbacks, and the deep-cut references alone is enough to make it feel like home. But not everyone is going to feel at home. One of the real challenges here is that Superman sometimes feels like walking into the second movie of a trilogy without watching the first. The emotional moments hit, but some of them feel like they're being fast-forwarded. Why are Lois and Clark already together? How did Lex become this version of Lex? Why should we care about these other heroes? Gunn's approach skips setup in favor of momentum. He's betting that audiences either already know these characters or won't mind being thrown into the deep end. And maybe he's right, but it also raises real accessibility questions. Some viewers might keep up just fine. Others might feel like they're constantly playing catch-up. So if you're already a DC fan, you'll probably have a blast. But if you're new, you might feel like you walked into a party late, and everyone already knows each other. It doesn't ruin the movie, but it does raise the stakes for future films. If this really is the foundation for the new DC universe, they'll need to find a way to bring everyone along, not just the ones who already speak the language. Audience buzz and box office. So how are people reacting? Superman debuted on Rotten Tomatoes with a strong 91% from critics based on the first 55 reviews. Now with over 160 reviews in, it sits at a still solid 85%, a certified fresh score. But what's even more striking is the audience response. The popcorn meter shows a whopping 96%, making it one of the most fan-approved Superman films to date. Early audience reactions are just as strong. Fans on social media aren't holding back their praise. One fan wrote that, "David Corenswet didn't just play Superman, this dude is Superman." They described his performance as heartwarming and charismatic, adding that the film demands a lot from him emotionally, but he rises to meet every challenge. Another fan said, "James Gunn absolutely nailed it, praising everything from the music and camera work to the humor and overall tone. They called it the ideal light-hearted, family-friendly superhero movie, and made it clear that every character gets a moment to shine, especially Krypto." At the box office, things are tracking well. Superman is expected to open with at least $200 million globally, making it the biggest debut ever for a solo Superman film. So while it's too early to call it a massive hit, the numbers and the buzz suggest that DC might finally be turning a corner. So, is this the Superman movie we've been waiting for? Honestly, it might be, but it depends on what you're looking for. If you want something dark, gritty, or grounded in realism, this probably isn't your version of Superman. This movie isn't trying to be the Batman or Man of Steel, it's just trying to be something we haven't seen in a while. Something hopeful. The strongest thing this movie does is remind you who Superman really is, not as a god or even a soldier, just a man trying to be good in a complicated world. And that's something we don't see enough in superhero stories anymore. That said, it's not perfect. The tone swings hard from funny to serious. The pacing can feel uneven. The first half might be confusing for anyone not already familiar with the characters. And yeah, some of the world-building feels like it's saving answers for later, which can be frustrating. But none of that changes the fact that this is a movie made with love. James Gunn clearly cares about these characters. You can feel it in the writing, in the set design, in the chemistry between the cast. If you're a longtime Superman fan, you're probably going to love this. If you're on the fence, I still think it's worth the watch. And if this is your first time meeting the character, it might just win you over. It might not be the Superman movie we were promised, but it could be the one we didn't know we needed. So, are you excited to see it? If you're one of the lucky few who's already watched Superman, let us know what stood out to you. If you haven't yet, what are you most curious about? This is just the beginning of the new DC universe, and it's going to be interesting to see how people respond.